Once that first episode went out, wherever you went, everyone just knew there's Aaron from Geordie Shore. So it was mad. And I just went from this overnight like Geordie Shore person, just this MMA. I had people calling us out, Paddy the Baddy. It was the supercar. I was like, I have to get one. And I had like a brand new Range Rover Vogue and I had a supercar. And I was still living at my mum's.
Floyd fight, what was that actually like?
And the bell went and it was like kill or be killed, really. It just blew up overnight.
Greatest MMA fighter of all time?
Jon Jones. Can't see him being beat.
More the influencers got involved in the fight game.
Unfortunately, a lot of them are absolutely dog shit.
Another example being KSI. What do you think of him?
Dog. I had signed to fight Tommy Fury.
How do you think you'd match up?
I think I'd beat him. If it wasn't for the name, he wouldn't be where he's at.
I sit down with the reality TV star and pro fighter, Aaron Chalmers. He holds nothing back on Tommy Fury, KSI and Floyd Mayweather. So you got onto Geordie Shore in 2014, I believe it was, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. How on earth did that come about? Because you weren't working in reality TV or anything like that beforehand, were you?
No, so I was working on the oil rigs, scaffolding.
Wow.
But it's a funny one. So when Geordie Shore were first, like, they were kind of like scouring Newcastle a couple of years, I think 2012 maybe, and they were going all the way around Newcastle looking for like people to join. And they had approached me on Facebook, but I had just got a job on the oil rigs. So I was only like 22, maybe 22, 23. So I was offshore, 2 weeks away, 2 weeks at home, but I was getting a really good wage.
Yeah.
Really, really good wage. In Geordie Shore, as far as I was concerned, they weren't paying you. And it was just like, we're going to put you in a house, but there was no backup of we're going to do 10 series. They were like, we're just going to go and see how it goes. And I was just like, I'm not leaving my job offshore that I've just got, that it took us a while to get off there. Yeah. And I thought, I'm not leaving. Then about 2014, I just bought a new Mercedes and Gaz, my mate, on there, he just bought a new Ferrari. And I was like, I'm in the fucking wrong job. I'm in the wrong job. Thankfully, they come back and said, Aaron, can you come straight to the to meet the producers? Right. So I just went down and that was it. Then I never looked back since. That was, what's that? Nearly 10 years ago. I've still got my scaffold belt and my dad's shit because you never know. You never know.
That sounds like a smart move. Yeah. So I mean, they just contacted you out of Facebook just based on like the way you looked, or what was it? What was it going into?
I used to be a topless host in one of the clubs in Newcastle. Yeah, remember years ago you'd have like the topless hosts, like Hawaiian shaped. You'd have the girls, like on the student nights. Yeah. So she's seen us. And then she messages. I think she gave us a call, and then she got us on Facebook messages. A woman called Lauren, and then I was always in. She said I was always in the back of her mind because all the obviously I had all like the Japanese stuff then. Yeah. And then she just said when they wanted someone that looked different, and I was the only one in Newcastle at the time with tattoos from head to toe. So
really,
I think that's why
I feel like that's a lot more common now. I mean, I don't have any tattoos. Sometimes I feel like the only guy in the UK
like 10 years ago. Do you know what I mean? But I'm lasering all mine off now. Like I've lasered all my front off to start again, and I'm lasering all my neck off. Right. So I've done everything the hard way. Do you know what I mean?
And you're going to start again, as you say.
Not on the neck. I'm going to get the neck off, and then I've lasered the front off. We'll start the new front piece next week.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm absolutely dreading it.
Really? What
the fucking pain?
Yeah. Okay.
Because obviously the first time it hurts, but the second time it's now scar tissue.
So yeah,
it's going to be a bad start to 2024.
Well, yeah, but I guess it's something you're obviously into that you've had so many, and
it's just me.
Part of your personal brand, isn't it?
And like when I look at because obviously all this is lasered and it just doesn't look right when I'm at weigh-ins and stuff. Everyone's like, "What's wrong with your tattoos?" Yeah, and I must have to explain 100 times that it's being lasered. So we're going to start it. I think not next week, the week after.
Okay, yeah, not long then.
Not long.
So you said you worked on an oil rig before.
Yeah.
What's harder, that or fighting? What do you think's the harder gig?
The oil rig was obviously being away for 2 weeks is like, I was only young, so it wasn't really that bad. But I can imagine now I've got kids, being away for 2 weeks is a long time with no like obviously like just having FaceTimes. But I enjoy the fighting. I would say the oil rigs is harder. Yeah. In certain ways, the fighting they can get very, very, very tough. If you have a couple of bad sessions, it's like, do I really want to get in there? Do you know what I mean? But once I'm in the change rooms, everything just goes, the fear goes, and it's just like, right, we're here to fucking party, so let's get it on.
Awesome. I guess the oil rigs is a lot more sort of stable emotionally as well, whereas fighting must have these crazy like peaks,
it's highs and lows.
Yeah.
Well, it's the highest of highs when you win and the lowest of lows when you lose. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like And it's crazy because you could like you can buy the rounds, you could have a good round, right? Come out the corner, and then you go back out for the next round. You could have a terrible round, so it's like you're back in the corner, so you're in your head thinking, like, do you know what I mean? It's a whirlwind of emotions. Like a couple of days after the fight, it's just everything is, you just rest. Everything, it's so mentally draining. Like all the weigh-ins, the face-offs, the press conferences, it does drain you.
Yeah, I can imagine. We'll get to more of the fighting in a bit. I just want to stay on the Geordie Shore side of things. So you get on this show.
Yeah.
Obviously, that has been life-changing.
Yeah.
At what point did you know, oh, this is going to change my life? Like, this is going to be a big deal?
So the first series, when we done the first one, I then, for 6 months, it didn't come out.
Yeah.
So like I went from earning a good wage to then having no money at all.
Right.
Because obviously, and then I got a job offer in Nigeria, for like, I think it was 6 weeks, it was really good money. But they're like, oh, you can't go because you've got to do press on this date. So for 6 months, I didn't have any money. So I got like a loan and stuff just to see us by.
Yeah.
And then once that first episode went out, it just went, I think like overnight, you're talking like 300,000 or 400,000 followers in the space of like, and I was just like, and then everywhere you went, I went from just being like someone on scaffolding to everywhere you went it was like, I remember walking down the street in New Zealand, I was on like a tour, I walked down the street in New Zealand and I walked past a shop and the woman just started screaming and I was just like, and she's like, Aaron from Geordie Shore, and I was like, what? Like I'm in the other side of the world.
Yeah.
So this is when it started to change. Everything was just like, wherever you went, everyone just knew. Wow. It was crazy.
Did you like that? Did you like the fame angle of it? Was it intrusive?
I mean, listen, if I was to say no, I would be lying, because it was like, it was just something that I'd never experienced. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like you see, like, you know, like you see, like when you would, like, you know, back in the day, you see celebrities and people like we would go on PAs and there would be like just people queuing to see, and I'm thinking, why the fuck are they queuing to see me? I'm just, like, in my head, I was still just a scaffold down the aisle. Yeah. But then obviously to other people, it was like, there's Aaron from Geordie Shore, so it was mad.
Wow.
But obviously I didn't like. It was great. I'm not gonna lie. It was great. It like as the shows went on, it just got bigger and we got bigger, and it was just like, and like I said, that was nearly 10 years ago I started. Do you know what I mean? And I never thought 10 years later I would be still in the position that I'm in. Do you know what I mean? It was just, for me, go on there. Obviously, if it doesn't work out, I'll just go back scaffolding. Yeah.
And so it doesn't sound like it ever got to the point where you couldn't go out in town, or you were just getting mobbed too much.
Oh, you would get mobbed, but it was like...
But it was nice.
Yeah, it was
friendly
good.
interaction.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah,
like obviously Newcastle, because obviously I know like quite a lot of people in Newcastle. You would go out and it was just like, it was just madness. It was like proper madness. But like bars that you used to queue up in, the bouncers just be like, you were just like, you're just thinking, why am I getting treated like this when all I do is get pissed on TV? Do you know what I mean? Like I'm getting treated like royalty, and all I do is I get pissed up on TV. It was amazing. I don't regret one thing about it.
Yeah, I on a much smaller scale, every now and then occasionally get recognised, and like someone will come up to me in a cafe and be like, oh, I watch your videos on YouTube or whatever, and
it is nice, isn't it? It's nice that that people recognise you.
Yeah, and it's just a little bit. It was like a really nice interaction. Yeah. They like what you do. Everyone wants to appreciate it for what they do.
Of
you
course.
Just think this is nice. I do think some people obviously get to a point where it's then, you know, just
I can imagine
too intense.
Like people like say for instance like McGregor. Like I've seen a lot of videos of him. He cannot go. He can't go anywhere.
No.
But then I suppose if you're trying to build your brand and you build it that much, then as I say, you have to take the rough with the smooth. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and he's obviously massively benefiting from that as well.
Well,
you know?
I think he's nearly a billionaire, so you can't complain, can you?
Yeah, I think I saw a thing come out saying he was the highest paid athlete. Maybe it was 2022 or something. Yeah. He went past, I think, Ronaldo and Messi that were the previous highest. I think
it was the whiskey, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Did he sell that? I'm sure he sold that for like 600
Incredible.
million.
I mean, I come from like a marketing background. I got a marketing agency, and we've run ad campaigns before where you do get like a major celebrity on to help promote product, and it is just crazy. Night and day in terms of the difference. I mean, we've never worked with someone that big.
Of course.
He recommends this whiskey brand. Obviously, he's like properly involved with it, and I think that comes through. And it's just, I think it was worth $600 million or something within a year and a half, something like that. It's just incredible.
Didn't he sell like 80% and kept 20?
Oh, I didn't know about the deal structure.
I'm sure he sold it and kept 20. Then he started Forged Irish Stout.
Oh, really?
Aye. If you notice now, everything's a lot more forged.
Yeah. Focused on his social media. Yeah. Well,
he's a good businessman. You can't deny.
He knew it from the beginning, didn't he? When he first came up, I was watching the UFC tons when he first came up. I've got a bit of a martial arts background myself, and I remember watching his first fight, I think, in the UFC, and he had this confidence and this aura already, and he was like fighting way down on the card, and it was already from then. It was like
he was taking over the press conferences, though, wasn't he?
Immediately,
yeah.
It's just incredible to have the confidence to do it, and then actually be able to do it, and then from there. And the thing is, he was able to back it up.
But that's the thing. He was knocking them out as he was doing it as well. So it was like everything was just going hand in hand. Yeah.
He wasn't just hot air. Yeah, because that wouldn't have gone well. No. It's a risky move, isn't it, to be like that? And then if you get beat a whole bunch, then you're in trouble. He must have knew
how good he was, though, to speak like that, because you can't have that level of confidence in B. Unfortunately, you can't have that much confidence in B shit. No. Unfortunately,
no, unless you're just deluded.
Unless you're delusional, exactly.
Yeah. So you said you went on Geordie Shore, like some of the fame aspects you enjoyed. You said you went on money basically initially because you saw your friend had a Ferrari.
Yeah,
thought,
a Ferrari.
I want to do money. This. Did Geordie Shore pay well, or did it start small and get up to a good amount?
It started small. I'm not allowed to say what we used to get paid
because
we have another reunion.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Next year. So but it started small. But then it went to like, you talk like 4 figures per day.
Right.
Per day.
Yeah.
For filming, do you know what I mean? So it was like, you were going into filming and I was coming out with nearly your scaffold wage.
Yeah.
We're doing 2 or 3 of them a year. And I was like...
So you're doing 2 or 3 seasons a year?
Yeah. And then obviously the money was just coming in from all angles. It was like... So at one point... I was quite young. I think I was like 27, 28. And I had like a brand new Range Rover Vogue and I had a supercar. And I was still living at my mum's. And I look back now, and I'm just like, how thick can you possibly be? Like, I had like nearly £200,000 worth of cars, right? Now they were just parked outside my mum's house. But obviously it was like, because I was such a car person.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm gonna that's what I wanted to do. Looking back now, I've got children. It was the very, very wrong thing to do.
Yeah.
But I can at least say that I've done it, and I can hopefully teach me boys that that's not the right thing to do.
And at least as well in your situation, it's not like you were one of those that was your only sort of time in the sun and able to earn, and then it just all went away. You've been able to, you were on the show for a long time, and then you're able to do other things.
It's like Love Island, they do one series, and then after that they struggle. Once that next one comes out, they go from there down to there. Yeah. Whereas we were on TV solid for 8 years? Yeah. Even now we'll do one a year, so we're still on TV. Nearly, that'll be 10 years later. Yeah. So it's been constant income. So, but I look back at that now and I'm just thinking, like, that's stupid. But it's like they had the best of both. Do you know what I mean? I had that, the Range Rover travel, and then like the R8, and I was just like, I think it's because I'd never ever had that level, of money, and I never had that. Yeah. I never thought I would own any of them cars.
Yeah.
Never mind them both. I mean, I didn't own them. I didn't buy them outright. But I was paying the monthly. Do you know what I mean?
But you get to the point where you think, you sort of see the numbers and you go, oh, I can actually do that. Oh, okay.
Like, I was looking at my income and I was looking at what the cars were together, and I was like, that's easy. Yeah. Then I got the insurance bill. The insurance for both of them was like £10,000 for the year. I was like, yeah, that's fine. And then I got a year down the line, I was just like, now I have spent tens of thousands on these 2 cars.
Yeah.
Then I just got rid of the Audi. I lost like, I think I put like 30 grand down, and I had to spend 15 grand to get out. So 45 plus the payments. Yeah. And then I look back and just think it's stupid. But I've done it. Yeah. I've done it the hard way now. So I'm a lot more sensible now.
I think sometimes you can't say no to, it's almost like, in my mind, it's like the 14, 15-year-old me. Like, I can't say no to him. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, he always wanted, he was ever like, if you're ever in a position to do it, do it.
It was the supercar. I was like, I have to get one. And I was working my arse off. I was traveling around the country 6-7 days a week.
Yeah.
And my manager was like, well, he said, you're making the money, so get it. So soon, it was like, I just needed someone to just tell us. Like, my dad was like, no, you don't need it. And as soon as my manager said, well, you're making the money, you can get it. As soon as he said, you can, boom, that was it. I went and got it straight away.
Yeah.
I just needed someone to just tell us it was okay. But then I knew, I'm like, you cost us 45 grand on that car.
So you mentioned around obviously a reunion, so you're still involved, but you became less actively involved in the show. What was that like? And I guess you didn't know at the point there would be reunions when you stopped doing a regular, or did you always know that was
No, so I stopped because I fully concentrated on the fighting.
Yeah.
So the fighting, the MMA, when I first started the MMA, I was kind of doing like 6 weeks drinking
Yeah.
Then I was coming out and I was doing like 5-6 weeks training, fighting. Then I was going back, and it was like I couldn't keep up the level of like being trying to be an athlete and being drinking that much.
Yeah.
So I left Geordie Shore behind. Obviously, I had just I'd met me kids' mum, Talia, and we started like saying we want to plan a family. And obviously, being away for 6 weeks from her, she moved up to Newcastle. It wasn't what I wanted to do, so I just fully concentrated on the fighting. And then obviously a couple of years after that, they started doing the Geordie OGs. So it just come back around, and it was all about like family. So it kind of worked hand in hand. It's
kind of ideal situation. Where you can have some of the benefits, but not have the parts that were holding you back.
Yeah, so it was just like come in, like maybe do, I don't know, go to the house and have like a reunion with everyone. But everything was more focused around my family life. So it was perfect. And then now the reunion in May is just all of us together going away somewhere for a couple of weeks.
Nice. Sounds great.
It's perfect, you know what I mean? Like, one, it gets you back on TV, which is always good for obviously me bit like me company, me raffle company. That good get back on there. It's good for social media because you're back on TV. Yeah. And it's just good for all round for me as a person to get myself back out there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I guess you get to meet up with people that you've known for a long time.
Exactly. And it's just like you're just like being back in the old times. Nice. But obviously it's quite hard because I'm going to do a full year off the drink again next year.
Okay.
So I've done it before, went in there not drunk. So it's going to be probably a little bit harder than usual.
Be a lot of pressure from people being, come on.
Everyone's like, go on, just have one. But you see, when I get something in my head, I just won't do it.
Yeah. I'll get back to our conversation in a second. Before I do, I just want to ask you a very quick favor, and that's to click the subscribe button. So I'm really proud of the community that we're building with this channel, but currently 97.5% of people that are watching the videos on this channel aren't subscribed. Now, we want to have the biggest and best guests on possible. To do that, we need more subscribers and we need your support. So if you could just click that subscribe button, that would be massively appreciated. Let's get back to the show. Yeah, I don't drink. I basically don't drink. I'm not like one where I'm never gonna have a drink. I'll have a champagne at a wedding or something like that. But otherwise,
I'm a binge jammy.
Right, so you're either nothing or you're gonna go a whole load.
So I could have nothing for like 50-60 days, but then once I start, I'll have like 15 pints.
Right.
It's not, and there's no cut off. There's not like just Aaron have 2 or 3. It's like no, that's it. I'm and going all out, and that's my downfall. Same. So like when I stopped the drink last time, it was like, right, well, I need something to compensate. So I'd start drinking Red Bull and Monster. And I'll be like, right, I need to go. And by then, like I was thinking, I was having a coffee in the morning, then I was having a Monster. Then I was going to train, I was having a Monster. Then later on, I was going to the gym, I was having a Red Bull, and I was thinking, no wonder I'm not sleeping.
Yeah.
So it's now I'm 3 weeks off the Monster and Red Bull, and a week off alcohol. So. Just water, Lucozade Sport in coffee. That's it.
Well, as an athlete, that's probably what's prescribed, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, because obviously Geordie Shore, a huge part of it is the drinking. That was like a huge part of it. Yeah. So there must have been. I mean, it sounds like you wanted to do that as well, but it must have been a lot of pressure to. Was it from the producers as well? Was it more from the other people on the show?
It was. I'll be honest with you, right? It wasn't. I wouldn't say pressure from producers or anyone on the show. It was to get through. The only way to get through it, because it was 6 weeks away. You would have no phone, you'd have no contact with the outside world. Yeah. So you would literally go in, give your phone in. That was it. And it was like all that mattered was what was going on in that house. So to get through, like a few times, right, when we used to get too pissed, they would put you on an alcohol ban for 24 hours.
For 24 hours.
It was. I swear it was the longest 24 hours of my life. So I couldn't think of anything worse than being locked in the house for 6 weeks and not drinking. Yeah. Because it was like...
just boring otherwise.
Boring. And it was like on nights out, you know what, like being in clubs and everything, obviously there's us on one side and a whole crowd on the other watching in. So if you're sober, it's like, it's so shit.
Oh yeah.
So it's just not, it's... As you know, when you go out and you're pissed, you don't really care. Yeah. Whereas you go out sober, you're very aware, aren't you?
Yeah.
So the 24 hours drinking ban was we used to give us a drink under the table. Do you know anything to try and just get through the night? Yeah. So it was like, I wouldn't say it was pressure from anyone. It was just, that's how I used to get through, was just getting drunk.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. I mean, I said I hardly ever drink, and there are loads of social settings where it's just rubbish. Like if you're just really sober, you'd be like. No one wants to be the sober person in a club. It's just like...
It's like Chris... Nah, it's because you see everything around you. And what I always find when you're sober as well is there's always that one pissed person when you're sober seems to latch onto you and just talks pure shit. And I'm like...
Get away.
Isn't it? It's like, why me? Like, and they must look and think, he wants to listen to me talk and they just latch on. So that's why I just don't put myself in that situation now.
Yeah.
Like I just rather not go out than be sober.
That's 100% what I do. So yeah, I completely understand that. Okay, so obviously you built a name for yourself, and then you moved over into fighting, which has actually become more of a thing that people have done. But you were probably one of the first to actually make that move. Literally the first.
Yeah.
What? So first thing, why make that move? Had you been training a long time anyway, or?
So I used to train Muay Thai in my teens.
Yeah. Okay.
I used to train like 17, 18, 19. I was doing Muay Thai in Newcastle, and as I started to work, I kind of gave up the Muay Thai, but it was always something in the back of my mind. I was like, because I was never like a fighting person. I'd never had a fight in school.
Yeah.
I'd never had a fight as an adult.
Right.
Maybe a few little scuffles in town. Obviously pissed when I was younger.
Yeah.
So I was on Geordie Shore. I think I was 28. I was in. Where was that? I was in Bulgaria with my manager on the beach, and he said, "What you want to do after Geordie Shore?" He said, "Just like off the top of your head." He said, "What are you going to do when it ends?" And I said, "Oh, I want to have one fight."
Yeah.
And he was just like, "What do you mean?" I said, "I want to have an MMA fight." It just so happens his brother-in-law was the matchmaker for BAMA, which was the big, the big English like MMA, probably the biggest MMA scene in England. So we left Bulgaria. I didn't think anything of it. Left Bulgaria. 6 weeks later, he said, "I've signed you. You're fighting in Birmingham in 6 weeks."
Wow.
And I was like, "I haven't trained for nearly 9 years." He said, "Well, you best get." So I knew a lad in Birmingham who is best mates with, do you know Leon Edwards, UFC champ?
Yeah.
So I moved to Birmingham to train with Leon.
Oh, okay.
So I went there for like 5 weeks. And then I had the fight, and then that was it. There was no looking back.
And you just loved it, like one of those.
No, I only wanted one fight, and I remember being in there, right enough. And Geordie Shore were filming to the left of us, right. I'll never forget. Geordie Shore were there. My mum and my family were just next to Geordie Shore, and I remember they were partying, they were pissed, and I was in the cage. And as everyone was filtering out the cage, I swear down, I was just like, "What am I doing in there?" Like at the fear. The kid across from us, right. My manager had lied. He said, "Oh, he hasn't had any fights." So I was thinking, "No, well, it's a fair fight." The week of the fight, I found out he had 35 Muay Thai fights.
Oh, right, okay.
So the fear, and he just looked so angry, right? He just looked so angry. And I was thinking, wow, like I do not want to be in here.
Yeah.
And then the bell went, and it was like, kill or be killed, really. Yeah. And I remember he kicked us in the leg because he was a Muay Thai fighter. No. Still feel it now, honestly. My leg was dead for about a week. But I'd been doing a bit of training, and I'd been doing a little bit of jiu-jitsu, and the one move I knew, he was on the floor, he was trying to get us off, and he put his hand out, and I just remember, and I was looking, thinking, and I was kind of like going, if you do this and pull this, and I said it as I was lying on top of him, because he was tired. I said, if you do this and then you pull, and I pulled and he tapped, and I was just like, I won. And I remember I got up right, and I went to run and get up the cage, and I was that I couldn't climb the cage. And this is only in the first round.
Yeah.
And I only wanted one, but because I'd never felt anything like that winning feeling.
Yeah.
And then that was it. Once I got that win, it was like, right, let's start taking it a bit more serious.
Wow. So that was with what, like 5 weeks, 6 weeks of jiu-jitsu training? And
I only knew that one jiu-jitsu move.
Yeah.
So I was doing loads of Muay Thai, Muay Thai and boxing, and then just basic MMA stuff, like pure basic.
Yeah. Well, I guess if he's had 35 Muay Thai fights, you don't want to keep it on a feet, do you?
No. Well, it's funny. After he kicked us, I was like, fuck it.
Not
it was
doing
a proper wrestling, like school playground wrestle to get them on the floor. Yeah, like Big Brother, like trying like flip him over. It was like a proper, it was shocking.
Yeah.
But I won, so I didn't care.
It sounds like you had that adrenalin dump as well. Like you said, the first round, you couldn't have the energy to get up the cage.
I think it was only like 2.5 minutes.
Yeah.
Because it was quite a hectic start, right? He was obviously trying to take my head off.
Yeah.
And then, like I say, I got him down. So I was kind of like having a breather. But I could hear him breathing. Like I say, he just put his arm up, and it was like, and I just took the chance. Nice. And then that was it. Then we moved on from there. And that was like 12 fights ago. So now I only wanted one, but we're now 12 deep.
Yeah. I've done about 4 years jiu-jitsu training and done a few tournaments. And like, obviously that's way smaller scale than what you've done. But I'm someone who generally is pretty calm. I don't get too phased by anything, but I was like the adrenaline just from a little local tournament I couldn't believe it.
Because you're going into like, even jiu-jitsu is quite relaxed compared to an MMA fight.
Yeah, that too. No one's going to punch you in the face.
It's that competition of like, because you can get hurt.
Yeah.
Like, especially jiu-jitsu, they can fucking pull you off.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, if if you like, especially if you get someone really aggressive in the tournament, you're gonna like they'll put an armbar on, they'll try and rip your arm out the socket.
Yeah.
So
how quick are you tap? I did Taekwondo as a kid. It's similarly saying as Muay Thai, and moved to jiu-jitsu because it seemed a lot less scary than. I didn't want to get punched or kicked in the head.
I was on the verge of blue belt, right? I just never got into the jiu-jitsu.
Okay.
Like I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like I just like to I think it's because I love stand-up and boxing.
Yeah.
Like being on the ground was something that never really I mean, it's a phenomenal sport, but for me, it's just something that never really.
Yeah.
And then towards the end of the MMA career, I started getting loads of wrestlers and jiu-jitsu fighters, and they was just totally taking my game away, taking us down. And I was just like, this is not for me.
Well, hence, I guess, why the move to boxing. And the focus
exactly. That was the move to boxing, yeah.
So with that, so you've done that first fight, and at that point you thought, I'm just going to do the one, and then...
As soon as I got out after the win, I was like, right, I want the next one.
Yeah, okay.
Straight away, because I was absolutely buzzing.
Nice. Did you have friends and family at that point try and stop you? Was there like a point where you're like, I'm going to do this ongoing, and they're going, well, hang on a minute, we're not sure about this?
No, because obviously I won the first one.
Right.
Then I won the second one. Like I knocked the kid out cold. Like he was out for like 9 minutes. And then the third one, I knocked him out in Newcastle. Like the whole arena, a sold out arena in Newcastle. We sold it out. I was on billboards. It was such a whirlwind. Had the first one in May, September, December. Had 3 fights. And I was just went from this overnight, like Geordie Shore person, just this MMA. I had people calling us out. Everyone, Paddy the Baddy. I'm sure he was caught, like giving us shit on Twitter and stuff. It just blew up overnight. And then I was knocking people out. Then they fucking started giving us wrestlers. Took me game away from us.
You wouldn't have thought they'd do that. Like the producers want to, because you obviously have the name from Geordie Shore. You thought they'd want to keep you going and build you up, if anything else.
I think it was like, because obviously I think people were pressuring, saying, well, give him someone with a ground game. And I was just saying, no, don't. Do you know what I mean?
Don't do that.
Yeah. That was freaking no. I was like,
let's keep this going.
and then I signed for Bellator. And it was a lad from up next to me, and I heard he was a bit of a bully. He was like a bit of a bully around his... I don't know if he was. And he was like all through the camp. He was giving a shit, saying he was just gonna do this, he was gonna do that, he was gonna do everything. And this only one time I fucking did not like this kid, right? And I just wanted to kill him. And we got in there, and I choked him out standing up. I think he'd give up. Right. I think he shit himself. Because I remember at the weigh-in, he just looked like he was giving it the big, and then I think he thought I was a lot smaller than I was, and I was bigger than him. And I think he was beat at the weigh-in. He didn't make weight. And then I feel like he gave up. I remember having him in like a standing guillotine, and I just feel like he totally gave up.
Yeah, okay.
I feel like he quit.
Yeah.
And then afterwards he said, when we were having the drink at the hotel, he said, I didn't realise you were so big. And I was like, you quit before you had even got in there.
That was something that got in your
head. Yeah, 100%, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure I do exactly the same. I get in there and be like, let's find a way out. Standing guillotine, perfect. Perfect, tap.
I had it on because I was trying to rip his neck out the socket because I didn't like him. But I feel like he quit.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. So obviously more, as we discussed, like you were the first, and then more the influencers got involved in the fight game. What do you think of that? Do you have much thoughts? Do you think it's good, bad, it is what it is, or?
It's bad for me because obviously at the time everyone was throwing money at me like, this is your sponsor. But now I feel like every man and his dog is wanting to be a boxer, and unfortunately a lot of them are absolutely dog shit. Right. They're doing like 6 weeks and thinking they can box, and they're really, really bad. Okay. I'd be a hypocrite to say it's bad because obviously I'm an influencer boxer now. Yeah. But some of them are really, really bad. But I only got into the boxing. I had signed to fight Tommy Fury. Yeah. But I'd never boxed before. And then I went to a boxing gym and I couldn't even do 3, because obviously MMA sparring and boxing sparring was totally different. Yeah. 3-3-minute rounds. And I was just like, I'm not going to be able to fight Tommy. Unfortunately, he's went on to huge things now. So I think that fight's never going to... I'm still in hope that I will get it one day, but I think he's too far to my reach now.
Do you think that's the case in terms of skill? Do you think he's overhyped, or how do you think you'd match up?
I think I'd beat him. Yeah. 100%. He's a big bloke.
Yeah.
He's a big bloke. But I don't think skill-wise he's the... I mean... He's not the worst. I don't think he's as good as he thinks he is.
Right. Okay. And maybe as good as the name is allowing him to sort of present.
If it wasn't for the name, he wouldn't be where he's at. Like, That's my personal opinion. I mean, let's see. 2024. I would love to get in there, but I think he's too big of a name now. But we'll see.
Okay. Another example being KSI. What do you think of him?
He is fucking dog shite. He is fucking dog shite.
Yeah.
He is absolutely terrible. He is terrible. He's not even like his last fight against Tommy. What the fuck was that?
Yeah. It wasn't the best watching, was it?
He was just like hands down jumping in. He was trying to mimic MVP, who is amazing at MMA with that kind of stance. But it just he was jumping in with the same shot. They were tying up. He was going out and he's just done the same thing. It was so frustrating to watch. But yeah, he's not good at all.
So you'd be quite happy to step in
100%.
and
I would fight him. 100%. I would fight him.
Awesome. Anyone else that you think of, like other like names you think, I'd love to fight him? Or?
I would like to get one big name, one big payday, and I'll happily retire after that fight.
Right. Okay.
One big payday. So there's the three big ones. There's Jake, Tommy, and KSI.
Yeah.
So either of them, I'd be.
And you
happy
reckon
with.
You could beat any of them, and you'd
every fight I have, I always think I can win.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome.
Apart from Floyd. When I fought Floyd, I was thinking just survive.
Yeah. That was literally my next question. How did that come about? And what was that like when you got the message being like, wow, I'm actually going to do this?
It was a funny one. So my manager had messages saying, would you fight Floyd? So I was just like, obviously I nearly had quit boxing this time last year. I was like, because nothing was coming up. And then it's funny, one of Floyd's team, I think was one of his managers, was with me years ago in Belgium.
Yeah.
As my security guard.
Oh, okay.
And we just went out, like everywhere I went, I was like, come with me. So we went out and they said, normally I'm just left to my own devices. And then I just took him with us like for the weekend. And then he messaged us saying, Aaron, do you remember me? I said, yeah, of course. He said, because of how you treat us in Belgium, I want to give you the Floyd fight.
Wow.
So I'm sitting there, right? And I'm thinking, right, okay. So that was like on the Wednesday. So on the Saturday, I didn't hear anything. So I thought, fuck. So I started drinking, right? And I was about 8 bottles deep. And then the contract come through my email. Right? So I had about 8 bottles deep and I still had 4 left. So I've signed the contract and I thought, well, I'm pissed now. I might as well finish them. So I finished. That was the Saturday night. So I signed the contract, finished the rest of the beers. And then I had like 4.5 weeks to fight Floyd. And then I lost like 10 kilos for the fight and it was mad. I had like Sky Sports in my house.
10 kilos in 4.5 weeks?
4.5 weeks. Had a nutritionist.
Wow.
And I wouldn't even care. We got there, right? I'd done the weight cut. I went from 83 to 73. Wow. Floyd didn't even turn up at the weigh-in. I could have weighed in at 76. He didn't turn up.
That sort of weight loss, because it's not like you're someone who's got loads of extra on you to drop
but
anyway.
I think it was because I had been drinking quite heavily over the Christmas stuff. So I think a lot of it, like, because in about 2 weeks I had dropped quite a bit. But my nutritionist, every Monday I would give him the weight and he would be like, right, he would message me food person and they would just cut it in. It was done easily. It was done quite easily. So it was 5 weeks, but like by the time I'd done the weight, it was like just over 4.5 weeks I had lost all the weight.
Because that's something that's often talked about in MMA, in boxing, are the weight cuts. I mean, what is that like? Sounds absolutely horrendous.
My MMA ones were terrible.
Yeah.
MMA do it a lot different to boxing. Boxing, we try and do it gradually. Like, so when I knew I had 10 kilo, it was like trying to do like 2 kilo a week, 1.5 kilo a week. So you're leaving like maybe, I think the day before the weigh-in, I think I was about 1.5, 2 kilos max before the weight cut in the morning. Whereas MMA, you would leave like 6, 7 kilos until the night before and then start cutting. So you'd leave like 6, 7 kilos, do like a water load, and then so water load like 5, say Sunday 5 litres, Monday 6 litres, Tuesday 7 litres, Wednesday 8 litres, Thursday nothing. Wow. So your body would keep so
it's used to expelling the water and then you just cut it off dead so it keeps doing that.
Your body keeps thinking, but then you start the weight cut on the Thursday, is it the Wednesday night? Not on the Thursday night. And then you're dehydrating your brain on the Thursday and you've got to get up in the morning and do more of a weight cut. Oh, it was horrendous. It was, looking back, like there's a lot of MMA fighters now that are really severely like, that are a bit older.
Yeah.
Because of like I think is it the kidneys or
that
are really because of the severe dehydration. That's why you see MMA fighters getting the lights put out, because the brain is so dehydrated. You know what I mean?
And is it that done in MMA because you want to be actually heavier come the fight, because that extra weight is important? Yeah. You'll feel it with the grappling,
especially with the grappling.
That
apparently, obviously, you see people cutting down. like 15 kilos and stuff to get down to their weight because they want to be that bigger person.
Yeah.
Whereas boxing, you just try and be as natural as you possibly can. There's a very big difference from boxing to MMA, I think, when it comes to that kind of thing.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, very, very.
It's done much more healthily and better in boxing than it is in
I think because boxing's been around a lot longer.
People know.
People know, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like a few MMA people in years to come, I think they're going to have quite a terrible time if they keep doing a lot of them now. The top ones have got nutritionists and stuff
to do it properly.
When I done it like 7 years ago, 6-7 years ago, I was just doing it off my own back. What people were telling us, and it was tough.
Yeah,
but I suppose it's like anything. As you go along, you kind of learn as you go.
Yeah. I mean, I've done a bit of taekwondo, some jiu-jitsu as well, and like.
So jiu-jitsu, have you got to make a certain weight as well?
Yeah.
You have.
Yeah, when I just did local tournaments,
would you do like a little weight cut?
Hardly anything. I walk around at say 84 kilos. I think my was like 82 kilos. So I didn't do any weight cut. I didn't want
diet.
to. I was just like, I just need to eat right for a couple of weeks before,
that's it.
And I'll be fine. But this is just a local one. But I do notice that. In the taekwondo, you could spar with people. Size didn't matter as much. Whereas jiu-jitsu, you roll with someone that's even 10 kilos heavier, and you're like, whoa, it makes a big difference.
I used to feel like some of when I started rolling the gi, like even people like smaller than us, it's the strength that they've got.
Yeah,
like when they get a hold of that gi, it's like
nothing's gonna
get off. Do you know what I mean? And I used to be like get in the hand, and I'm thinking. How is your hand so strong? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the grip on the people from jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
I remember getting choked out with my own arm. Like obviously my tattoo. I was like looking. I was like, that's my arm, and he was choking us out with it. And I was like, nah, this is not for me.
Yeah, I remember we had one guy in our gym who was he's a rock climber. That was what he really into, and his grip.
So powerful.
He grips hold of your gi, and it's just like, okay, I've got to work around this.
I seen something on Instagram, a rock climber and a bodybuilder or powerlifter. In the rock climber, the strength that he's got, I think was on his back, was almost the same as this bodybuilder. And the bodybuilder couldn't believe it because he was like that, and the bodybuilder was massive. But obviously,
he's just trained it that way.
Yeah, trained that much. Yeah.
So go back to the Floyd fight.
Yeah.
So we talked about you getting in the first place. What was that actually like, actually fighting him? Well, you said you're just trying to survive, but that must have been awesome.
Well, not survive. The plan was, I mean, I trained so hard for that fight. I was everything. I didn't even have like a chocolate bar. Everything was so bang on.
Yeah.
Because I thought this is like a once in a lifetime. And it was a crazy experience. I remember being in there and he hit us a few times and I was just like, well, he doesn't punch that hard. He was so accurate and so quick, but the power didn't really bother us.
Okay.
But I was just like, I just want to get through the 8 rounds. I don't want, because he had finished everyone previous who he had fought like influencers, like Deji and stuff.
Yeah.
So to me, it was like, just survive the 8 rounds and you've done a job well done.
Yeah.
You're never gonna knock Floyd out. Do you know what I mean? He's been in there with the best in the world.
Yeah.
So it was to get through, but he's very clever. So I was first in the ring, so I'm standing there, obviously nervous as anything, because obviously it's Floyd. So I can see him. So just it's a similar kind of thing, obviously a lot longer. So he's come out a little bit. He's stopped, the camera's on him. He's doing a little dance and he's singing, right? Then that song's finished. Then he's coming a little bit more. There's another song on. So I am walking up and down and up and down, and I'm thinking...
And your heart's going.
And I'm thinking, just get in the ring. He's got about 20 people behind him, and I'm thinking, but he knows, because he must know how intimidating it is.
Yeah.
So that's a second song. Then he's got to the ring. He's dancing on the side of the ring and thinking in the crowd. And by then I was just thinking, hell, get in this ring now. I was just up and down and up and down. And then he eventually got in. So I must have been in the ring 15 minutes. And then the fight started, and he's kind of like come out. And he's like, I don't think he was being serious. He was like just touching, and he was like smiling. So I've kind of just dropped my hands thinking, oh, he's going to play it. And he just went, whack. And here's the left hook. And I was like, you stupid cunt. I was like, right, that. And straight away. But that obviously, that's my fault. He just played us into what he does. And that was stupid. Me, I had to drop my hands. I was like, oh yeah, we're going to play. And he fucking cracked us in the jaw.
Well, he's a master, isn't he, of his
proper
craft.
mind games.
So, yeah. So
but then after he come up, he said, you're one tough mother. I was like, I'll take that.
That's awesome.
I'll take that.
I mean, not just that line, but the whole thing. What a great story to tell.
It was amazing.
Tell your
like
kids
my mum and
all of that.
everyone come down, and
Yeah.
I got like fully suited and booted. It was just a full experience. I really enjoyed it. Then Newcastle the next day played at Wembley.
Yeah.
We got beat, like, but we still. Do you know what I mean? It was a good weekend.
Yeah.
It was a good weekend.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's so cool. So speaking on the fighting, what's been your biggest payday? Was it that Floyd fight?
Yeah, Floyd.
Yeah,
Floyd. It wasn't millions,
right?
But it was obviously with sponsors and stuff. I done very well.
Yeah, I see.
Done very,
So
very
much
well.
attention comes from that. Isn't it? That's cool.
It was Floyd. But I'm hoping we get one more big one.
I was going to say, what does the future hold? So you're 36 now, is that
36,
right?
yeah.
36
no
now.
spring chicken.
So if you got like I want to keep going for another
Next
X
year.
amount of years, just
One more year.
One more year.
So I have to have obviously brain scan every year.
Yeah.
And that's due in July, end of July. So if there's nothing comes in by then, I'm just going to give it up. Obviously, I've got a few other businesses that I've got my raffle company.
Yeah, yeah.
So hopefully by then the raffle company will be fully up. But if there's a chance that I think something might come up later in the year, I'll redo the brain scan. But
Yeah.
I've got 3 kids now. I don't really want to be taking too many shots to the head. Like I'm fully functional now as I come into the sport.
Yeah.
I don't want to I don't want to hang around for too long and be losing brain cells that I don't need to for if the money's not great, it's pointless. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Do you think that'd be hard to say goodbye to it?
No,
Okay.
yes, no, sorry, that's a lie. Yes, I do, but I've already planned after. So obviously with the boxing, it's like a 12-week camp or 5-week camp or whatever. So I'm going to start doing. I've always wanted to tick off my list as an Ironman, Ironman 70, leading up to the full Ironmans. So. Because that's still like a competition. It's still competition, not with anyone but myself.
Yeah.
And it's something I can treat like, right, I've got 8-week camp up until my Ironman.
Yeah.
And then obviously I can, like, when I'm away, I want to do like around Europe and stuff. But I mean, I need to learn, I can't swim, so I need to learn how to swim this next year.
That will be helpful.
That would be helpful. So I'm starting learning, this is funny, I'm starting learning how to swim and it's embarrassing, isn't it? But I just, something I never, mean, I can breaststroke, but I'm not going to get very far.
Bob around in a pool at holiday.
Do you know what I mean? I can bob around, but I'm not going to get very far in the Ironman.
No.
So that's my plan, is to do Ironmans, just so it keeps us fit and it keeps us kind of competing.
I think that makes a lot of sense. I mean, as you say, you moved on. Like, it's having that next thing to go to, isn't it? Because I see a lot of people get lost.
It's like football.
Stopping anything.
Stop football, and a lot of them turn to alcohol.
Yeah.
A lot of them turn to alcohol because they've had such a void left from being 15 years as a professional footballer, training every morning, getting like maybe 2 weeks off in the summer, to just being at home.
Yeah. And they're not getting those highs they used to get.
They're not walking out in front of 10, 20, 30,000 people on a weekly basis. They're not getting 20, 30,000 pound a week. Do you know what I mean? It's a very tough time for footballers. I mean, it's not. I don't know if it's the same for boxers because I haven't left yet, but I know I have to go into something to keep us active. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I think that sounds very smart.
And the good thing is with Ironman, it's all over the world. So like, as the kids get older, I can be like, right, we can go America for a holiday, and I can do the Ironman in between, and you're kind of killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Do you know what I mean? So I had a good think about it, and I was just like, don't really want to go into boxing coaching because I don't know that much as coaches that have been around, and I think I would just like to leave it as a memory. Like, I've done the boxing, leave it at that, and then move on to the Ironmans.
You wouldn't want to go back into more TV stuff. I mean, you said you're doing the reunion stuff now, but there's not other stuff. Is there other stuff?
I would
that you
love
want
to
do
do the
that?
jungle.
Oh, okay.
I would love to do the jungle.
Yeah.
But I'm petrified of like creepy crawlies and stuff.
Really? That'd be your hard part.
The whole camp would be starving. If they sent me on a trial,
not doing it.
I would just say, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
It's a spider, like a spider.
Yeah. Okay.
Even like, where was I? I was in my garage the other week, right? And I had like a chest freezer, and I moved it, and a spider ran across the floor. Man, I swear, you've never seen someone move so quick. You're only talking about a little spider, like a little, but I just seen it run across the floor, and that was me gone.
Yeah.
So
different things get different people though. For me, it'd be rats. Oh, I could do creepy crawlies, no problem. It'd be rats. You know, when they go in the coffin, sometimes they've got rats all over them. Oh,
even them, like I think I'd be like, but it's the fact like, did you see one of the contestants on Just Gone? She was walking away, and there was a spider on her bum. I was absolutely mortified. Like, I was proper cringing.
Can't do that.
I if there was something on us that I didn't know,
yeah,
I would freak out.
Yeah.
But yeah, the whole camp would be starving if I was in there. Like,
it'd be an experience, though, wouldn't it, to go do something like that?
Oh
with
yeah,
the people and.
But it'd be experience. But I think that's what's so amusing. Like, if people struggle, everyone laughs because people laugh at you. Do you know what I mean? That's what makes good TV. But
yeah,
I mean that's one thing I would like. I would like to do that.
Cool. You mentioned your raffle company. Tell me a bit more about that, because I had a look into that before we had a chat. And as a marketing agency, we've actually worked with some companies in that space before, so I'm a bit familiar with it. How did that come about, and sort of how's that gone?
So I work with a guy called Ryan, and he just approached us saying, "Look, Aaron, do you want to be the face of like a competition company?" Yeah. There's a few people down next to him who own big companies. We're all car enthusiasts, but we've come across a few problems. Like we've had 2 websites built on different platforms that wouldn't accept Apple Pay, Android Pay, which is the big. So the website, the website at the minute is not where we want it to be. So we're waiting. We've got a new website being developed, which is our own. We can have Apple Pay, Android Pay, so it's our own website. It's not like on. Is it Shopify, WooCommerce? We've had 2 on them, and
you ran
they're good for just so you wanted to sell products, but they're not good for raffle companies because all of the because it's gambling, isn't it really? Right. So we've come across a fair few hurdles.
It's inevitable. Anything new like that, you're gonna run into snaggy issues, aren't you? That you're gonna have to work
like licenses, Facebook licenses, like licenses for like even Instagram, like anything to do with, because it's money. Yeah. Obviously, we were just learning as we were going along, so it's like any new company. We didn't expect to make a profit for the first year. Yeah. But I think once we get the new website, we've got like a new marketing on board. He's in charge of like 26 raffle companies. Right. So he's like, you need to do this, you need to do that.
That's great.
So we have someone kind of in the background telling me what I need to do. So
having that like niche specific expertise is so beneficial.
He's the marketer for 26 companies. Yeah. And all the big ones, so he knows what's needed. You know what I mean? He knows what works for them. So we just taking on board what he's saying, and
it'd be really interesting to see how that goes, because obviously one of the things that's really important for any venture like that, so we've worked with businesses like that, is being able to differentiate yourself from the competition. And with your personal brand, you've got 2.4 million on Instagram. Yeah. I mean, that's huge to be able to help get the word out. It's a great start.
It's a good start, and obviously with being back on TV, that can only bring more views to my Instagram page. Like when an episode goes out, that's when I'll start pumping highlight on the stories, because you're getting loads of new people coming through, and then that's hopefully how we're gonna. Hopefully everything goes hand in hand. And the good thing is, with having a raffle company, like I said, I'm a very big car enthusiast. Yeah. So instead of losing £45,000 on cars, when I get sick, I can put them in the raffle. Do you know what I mean? That's the plan anyway.
Instead of paying your way out of a lease or something like that.
Exactly. That's the plan. But
let's put this in the competition.
Yeah, that's the plan. But the good thing is obviously, a lot of people are gamblers. Like I myself, I always I have certain numbers on the lottery every single week, and I dare not put them on in case I win. Yeah. Obviously, the way it is, like in this day and age now, is there's not that much money going around. So if you can give someone a car, or you can give someone a cash alternative, 30-40 grand for a £2 ticket, it's a big incentive. Do you know what I mean? But we don't have like hundreds of thousands of tickets. We try and keep everything 5,000, 10,000 tickets. So there's a lot. I mean, it's a little bit more priced. But
it means you've got a better chance of winning. It's a bit more exciting than thinking.
Whereas if you've got 300,000 tickets, or you've got 10,000 tickets, there's a big difference.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how that goes. So I've heard you speak previously, and you've talked about anxiety and having had some struggles with anxiety. A lot of people do, obviously, nowadays. How did that come about? Was that because of anything that happened in your life? Do you think that's something you always had a bit of a struggle with, but just weren't aware of?
No, it started in Geordie Shore.
Right, okay.
So I had never heard the word anxiety ever. Yeah. So when I used to drink, obviously in Geordie Shore, like, because I didn't have any contact with the outside world, and we were stuck in this house, every morning I would get up, and I would kind of just go and sit in the. I would go and sit in the toilet by myself, like with like feeling of fear, a bit of beer fear. Yeah. And it was. I remember I come out, and Charlotte said, "Oh, you've been happy sitting in there full of anxiety," and that was the first time I'd ever heard it. And I was like, "What do you mean anxiety?" And she said, "Oh, well, you worry something bad's going to happen." So this is when I started realizing, like, that's every time I feel fear, that's what it's called, anxiety. But I know that my anxiety goes hand in hand with alcohol. Yeah. Like alcohol. So I stopped drinking for 22 months. and my anxiety disappeared.
Wow.
This year has been terrible for drinking, so that's why I've knocked it on the head again.
Yeah.
So I know my anxiety goes hand in hand with alcohol, like the beer fear, but it was heightened in Geordie Shore because we were on a pedestal, we were getting followed around by cameras, and hence why obviously in the bar you'd want to drink, because I feel like we would be sitting here and, like I say, just beyond the cameras there was just a crowd of people looking into us. So it was like fear, do you know what I mean? So the only way to get through was to drink, but then you'd have to suffer the consequences the next morning of the anxiety. So it was like it was a vicious circle in that sense. But that's where mine started.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, it's a known thing, isn't it, that drinking does really cause that. I imagine there must be so many people that think they have sort of like a medical problem and maybe even taking medication for it, and it's one of those things where it might just be your drinking. It might just be that. Like,
it is.
Try that first. It's probably a better protocol.
Do you know what it is? I'm a very, so like I say, I this year I try to stop drinking many a times, but I just couldn't do it. Like I had a son. My youngest son was born with additional needs.
Right.
And it just, I feel like I was using the alcohol to cope, because he was in hospital for like 6 months solid. Like we were going up there. So I didn't cope with everything that was going on. Now he's out, and I just thought, you know what it is? That's it. That. I know if I drink alcohol, the worst comes out, like the anxiety. So that's why I've just knocked it on the head. Knocked it on the head to be, obviously, like, you want your kids to grow up, like, not looking at, oh, my dad drinks every weekend, do you know what I mean? So I don't want my kids to drink, like, to think that. So that's why I've knocked it on the head. But it's funny, I'm glad you spoke about a lot of people think, oh, I haven't got a drink problem. But you know, if you tell someone to stop drinking for 30 days, they can't do it. Yeah. A lot of people have drink problems more than they actually think. Like, oh, I haven't got a drink problem. I only have a drink every weekend. That's where it starts.
Were you worried about that getting worse for yourself? Did you ever think, not necessarily just because of the anxiety it caused, but just thinking, oh, this drinking's getting out of hand here. This is
That's
scary.
Why I stopped. Mine was getting very out of hand. Like this year, it was getting. Obviously, I was training for the fights, and after the fights, it was like, right, and I would just kind of start binging. But it got to the point where I wasn't going out. I was sitting in the house by myself. This is when I knew it had got too much. Sitting in the house by myself, drinking, with no one around, just by myself. Newcastle were playing the Champions League on a Tuesday. Oh, there's a little chance to drink. Or this was happening, I'll have a drink. And then before I know it, I was drinking 4 or 5 nights a week by myself with no one around. And I just was like, what am I, like, this is not me. It's not something I've never ever drank in the house, ever. So that's when I knew it had kind of took over. So I went to one AA meeting a few weeks ago, and I was just like, I sat there, I was shitting myself because I thought, what was if someone looks and says, oh, there's Aaron. Yeah. And I thought, I thought it was going to be full of, and this is no disrespect, I thought it was going to be people that actually I would look and say, oh, he looks like an alcoholic. And it wasn't. Right. It wasn't. Yeah. So a bloke come in with a suit on. Yeah. And I was just like, fucking hell. Like sorry for swearing. A lot of people have more problems than you actually would think. Yeah. Like I sat there and I was thinking, you would never look around here and think everyone here has a drink problem. So it was an eye-opening experience. And once, like, the people were speaking, I just thought, you know what it is? Like, not that I'm better than these. I just thought this is not where I need to be. I know that I can stop. So I stopped.
That's great that you were able to do that. It's interesting as someone who doesn't, like, I don't drink. So it's one of those things where people drink seemingly for everything, even if they're completely different things. So like people will drink at a funeral or at a wedding, and you think like those are very different places, like emotionally, but you're still using the same thing to go with that. That sometimes seems kind of funny that
drinks used for exactly, like so many different things. But I was just using it purely for the sake of it. I think to escape reality of, like, I was just escaping. Like, I don't even know what I was escaping. But like I say, it kind of got a hold of us, and then I just, thankfully, I mean, we're only like nearly 8 or 9 days in, but I couldn't even go 5 days. Right. A few weeks ago, do you know what I mean? Yeah. So, but now I've like...
So even though you had a period of not, it can come back quickly if you get into the drinking. And
so I've done 22 months, and then when my son was born, and I found out that he was sick, drinking. It was just, that was the trigger. It was like... Yeah. It was like because we didn't know that he was going to be poorly, so it was such a shock. And I feel like, I was like, oh, I'll just have a few to get through. And then it kind of snowballed from there. But yeah, we're back under control of it now. But now I'm one of them as well. Now I've said I won't. It's like a challenge. Like I used to challenge myself. I get to 100 days, 200, 300, 400, 500. And then obviously I was on the verge of 600. Then my son was born. Do you know what I mean? So no, I've still got that in my phone. I'm like, right, we need to beat the I think it was 582 days I've done. So we need to try and beat that.
I suppose it's that competitive part of your personality, isn't it? That if you can use that for a good purpose.
Yeah,
like
well, that's how I use it.
Yeah.
So on January the 1st, have you heard of a thing called 75 Day Hard? It's a challenge.
I don't think I have, no.
So it's an app. So it's 75 days.
Yeah.
It's 2 workouts a day, one inside, one outside.
Okay.
Read 10 pages of a book. Diet, no alcohol, 4 gallons of water. Is it 4 gallons? 4 litres of water.
Quite a bit, either way.
4 litres of water. And one more thing. So you do that solid for 75 days or in a progress picture. So take a picture on day 1.
Yeah.
Take a picture on day 75. So I start that.
Nice.
So that's another challenge.
Yeah.
Obviously, because that's a challenge, I know for 75 days, there's nothing will come in the way of that challenge.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that as well.
Yeah, that's great. One of the things obviously to fight with the weight and everything, you've got to be in shape. Do you find that quite easy to maintain a good weight? Do you struggle? A lot of fighters obviously are famous for like ballooning up, aren't they, between bouts and things?
I'm not one that balloons up.
Right. Okay.
Like, thankfully, like my kids, Talia, my kids, who's the mother of my children, she was always a great cook. So we were always like quite healthy. Obviously, we'd have maybe Chinese on the Sunday or an Indians on the weekend, but I was never someone that would have a fight and just go McDonald's, Burger King. Do you know what I mean? Like
some do though, don't they?
Oh, nah.
Yeah.
I'll have like one McDonald's. You know what's weird? On fight week, right, I used to get this obsession with cheesecake. Like I would take pictures of cheesecake on my phone, like you know, like going like a food thing, and like I used to picture cheesecake, and I would look and I'd have like 30 pictures of cheesecake on fight week. And I'll be like desperate for cheesecake. And see, after the fight, I have like one bite and just like, oh, it's not even that good. But it was like we had an obsession with just cheesecake though.
Because your body just sees it as calories.
Because I know that I can't have it.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And I love cheesecake.
You're just obsessed with it.
Aye.
Yeah.
I'll tell you the truth. On my first fight, right? Obviously, I didn't know. You know, I was saying I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
So I had a mini fridge in my room, and I was left to my own devices on fight week. So I went to Tesco and I bought a couple of cheesecakes and put them in the fridge. I was like, yeah, I'm going to have a cheesecake after the fight. So the night before the weigh-in, I started eating the cheesecake, but I was just chewing it and I was spitting it in the bin. And I was just like, I was not getting the calories.
Yeah.
I woke up a kilo heavier.
Really?
And I didn't even swallow any. I must have been swallowing it.
Yeah, because your body gets some in anyway.
But I was like spitting it out and I was honest to God, right? And I woke up the next morning, I was a kilo heavier to get off and I was like, I must have been swallowing that cheesecake and I didn't mean to.
Because you'd expect normally sleeping, if you haven't had anything and you get lighter, wouldn't you? And you got the wrong way.
I was fucking heavier.
Nightmare.
Yeah, so ever since then, I've never had a fridge in the room.
Yeah. That sounds like torture to have that right next to you being like, but I can't have it.
It's because I'd never ever been told like, oh, you can't have this.
Yeah.
So obviously my first fight, I was just like, yeah, I can have a little bit. And I'm not swallowing it, but yeah, I didn't. So I've never done that again.
Yeah. Just going back to the anxiety thing, it sounds obviously you found out what was causing yours and were able to fix it. It seems like a lot of people in the reality TV influencer world do struggle with mental health issues. Do you think that's always going to be the case because of the nature of the beast, or is there something else going on?
I feel like it's social media.
Right.
Like, so when my anxiety started getting too much, I started seeing a therapist, and she said to us, what gives you the most anxiety?
Yeah.
And mine was Twitter.
Yeah, okay.
So Twitter was just relentless of abuse. Like, you could see 100 good tweets and you would see one bad one, but it was like, it was relentless. So she said, I'll tell you what, she said, go home and delete Twitter. So I just deleted Twitter and I give it to my manager.
Yeah.
And I've never been on Twitter since. That was like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
I think I've had a look on once, but it just doesn't interest us. I've never had it. My manager's got the login details. And I give him it, and it was like I had the weight of the world taken off my shoulders.
Really?
Because just looking at someone, I mean, you get the odd thing is on Instagram, I don't go and look at my comments.
Yeah.
So because you're not looking at the comments, you're not seeing what people are saying. Mm-hmm. Obviously, you might get the odd bad message in an inbox, like where you can accept it, but I'll just block if it's a bad one. Whereas Twitter, it's like it was relentless. So I deleted Twitter, and half my problems disappeared.
That's great.
So, and the thing is, there's some horrible people in the world that will just target you for abuse, and they won't give up until, and like even if you block them, they'll come back. And That's unfortunate. It's going to be the next 10 years is going to be, well, obviously there's been deaths in the reality TV world because of online abuse.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I'll be honest, I'm hoping in the next 5 years, once me companies are fully formed, I would get rid of, if I didn't need social media for work, I would get rid of it.
I think there's a lot of people that feel that way, but it's often that brings them back in, doesn't it?
It's work, obviously.
I mean, I go into social media apps for work, and then you find yourself, you're like, hang on, I've just lost 10, 15 minutes scrolling or doing something else. I went on there for a specific like productive reason, but it just got me.
You scroll though, don't you? And you scroll, and you think you're missing something. So now my phone's on a timer, it goes down at 10.
Oh, that's good.
And then it back up at 7. So anything after 10 o'clock, I can't go on. Do you know what I mean? Because sometimes if at night time, you find yourself just sitting there scrolling through all that shit.
Yeah, for no reason.
And before you know it, it's 12 o'clock at night and you're like, oh, I best go to bed.
I could have really done with that extra
2 hours sleep.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? So it's trying to just limit it as best as you can. But I think social media has got a lot to answer for. And unfortunately, the world we live in now, so many young people don't want to work. I think it worked for me. TV worked because I had a job from 16 and I worked all the way through till 26 before I went on TV. So 10 years I worked. So I had the value of money. A lot of these young people have never worked and they're getting taken from uni and they're getting tens of thousands of pounds a month for 12 months. And then once the new Love Island comes out, they're dropped and they're thinking, well, I'm too good to go to work now because I've been on TV. People think they're celebrities and they're not. I wouldn't hesitate to go back scaffolding because I've got 3 kids to feed. So if I need to go back scaffolding, I'll go and renew my tickets and I'll go back at the drop of a hat because it wouldn't bother me. I don't think I'm better than anyone. Like, I've been on TV, I've had a fucking blast, but I've got to feed my children.
I guess that's easier to enjoy what you're doing and the good things that are in your life now as well, being like, I'm willing to do that. Whereas a lot of people, it sounds that you're saying like they shift their normal to where they're currently at. Anything worse than that is terrible, and they're always pushing on for more. Whereas if you can be like, I'm happy going back to that, I could always do it, so I'm going to really enjoy what I'm doing now, and anything that comes in the future, happy days.
That's it, because it could all end. It could literally all end tomorrow. Do you know what I mean? So like I say, I've had a blast doing it, but I always try and do new things. Like I always try and have something, because like I say, a lot of people think that this money's going to last forever. But once that new TV show comes out, they're gone. Yeah. They're gone. They're last year's news. Yeah. And because I think there's 2 a year now. So they've only got, instead of having 12 months, they've got 6. Yeah. Yeah, that must be, you say, without the grounding and the difference between someone having that happen when they're 19 and 10 years older than that. If someone gave me that money at 19, I would be in a bad position now. Because you would have no value of money. Yeah. Like, it's like young footballers, they've got no value of money because they've been given so much. Yeah. So, I think it's thankfully now, I think a lot of TV shows are giving people help after the show. I mean, I'm assuming they are. We get a bit of we get counsellors and stuff to see if we want to speak to them after. Yeah, okay. But none of that was around before a few people committed suicide. Do you know what I mean? You were just left to your own devices. I do wonder with the social media aspect of things, if a new generation, because they've grown up with it, will be a bit more immune to some of those issues. Like if they're just used to it, or maybe their mental health is just wrecked because they've grown up with it and that's not good for you. It could go the other way. I think it's going to be, in 10 years, it's going to be a struggle. Like all these young people now are not going to want to work because they think, I want to be a TikTok star. I want to do this. Yeah. There's a very small market. Like not every single person, young girl or boy, can be a TikToker, because I think in the next 5 years, I think all social media work is going to fizzle out. Interesting. Well, when I started Geordie Shore, people were throwing money at us for like clothing brands and stuff. Yeah. But it's not as big as it used to be. Like the money, because people are like, why do I need to spend £10,000 on an influencer? When like you can just pay for like marketing, do you, like as you say, right, okay. Like, do you know what I mean? Like influencers haven't got the pull that they used to have. When we were on TV, there was only us and us and Towie. Now you've got loads of them. There's about 10 on like E4. There's reality TV shows everywhere you look, every single night of the week. So it's not as exclusive as it used to be. Yeah, that's a really good point. I guess the people that do command
big fees. It's kind of been concentrated in those like absolute mega stars, and then beneath that,
it's like
there's
people
not
like
as
your Molly,
much
your
there.
Molly, Tommy Fury, Tommy and Molly, are quite big social media people presences. So they get the big brands, like the couple of 100,000 or the £1 million deals. The other people that were maybe on Love Island, or I always go Love Island just because it's a typical one. That were maybe voted out on week 2. They're forgotten about, and they're scraping, they're chasing that high of being a celebrity, and like people forget it. As soon as you're off the screen, people forget about you, and the next new person comes in, they're the in thing. Yeah.
So changing tack a little bit, a couple more back to sort of MMA questions. I'd be interested to get your thoughts on a couple of things. Greatest MMA fighter of all time, in your opinion, if you had to put a name to it?
Jon Jones.
Jon Jones.
Jon Jones.
He'd be a number one.
Yeah. I just think he's, from such a young age, he's fought everyone, and it's not like he was given an easy route. He beat every single person that was put in front of him. I wish we had got the Ngannou fight. I think Jones would kill him.
It would have been really interesting to see.
Really interesting. I mean, if Ngannou catches you,
such a big boy.
Yeah, he's a big lad. But yeah, I've got to say Jon Jones. I just think he'd done everything from a young age. And yeah, I just can't see him being beat.
I mean, Jon Jones is topical to the next question. I was going to say, do you think this could be the UFC specifically or MMA in general? Do you think it's got a steroid problem, a PED problem?
I don't know. When you look at some of them, you think they have to be.
Yeah.
They have to be, because they are like fucking like proper sculpted. Do you know what I mean? You're thinking, like, how are you that shape? But I suppose some people are pure genetic freaks, and obviously these are the finest athletes in the world at the pinnacle of their career. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know. I think you're gonna have PED problems in every corner of every sport. Always. Do you know what I mean? You're never gonna fully like get around it.
Do you think it needs to be super strictly regulated? I've heard some people, and it's not a common opinion,
in combat sport, because you can kill someone.
Right. Okay.
I think people will probably go against this, but like people, when you're not hurting someone, like cycling, like Lance Armstrong, I've watched the documentaries on him, and like he's not hurting anyone, but he's trying to perform, like enhance his performance. But I think where you're physically hurting someone and you can physically kill someone, where there has been deaths in MMA, there's been deaths in boxing. I think that's a big no-no for me. Right. That's a big, like you're literally putting your life on the line when you get in there. Never mind if someone's full of steroids and has got an advantage. You know what I mean? I think that's a big no-no. Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense. A distinction between, look, if you're trying to run faster, you're trying to run faster. You're not hurting anyone else.
If all the runners want to get on steroids, you're not hurting anyone. Like, that's their choice. Like, let them get on steroids and actually see how fast the human body can be pushed. Do you know what I mean? But to physically harm someone, because you can get so much power. I know you can get so much power in everything from using steroids. It's like night and day for me.
We saw the difference in the UFC, didn't they, when they stopped allowing fighters to use TRT. And just look at Vitor Belfort.
He just took the Vitor. He went from an animal, like an animal. He was an absolute animal.
Dad bod almost after,
But look what he done. Look what he done to Bisbin's eye on TRT.
Yeah.
Bisbin's someone's father.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Bisbin's someone's husband. Yeah. These are the things that you can never get back. He can never get his eyesight back. That's someone's dad. He might if he loses sight in his other eye, he's never going to see his kids. So I think there's a very big no-no in combat sports. But like I say, let's push the human body to the absolute limits when it comes to running and cycling.
Sure. If people want to do it, they want to take those risks. They're not hurting anyone else. Then
if you want to do it, then by all means. But not in fighting.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. If you had a chat with a 20-year-old version of yourself, you've obviously, you've done some really interesting things. You've done some really cool things, and by the sounds of things, you're very happy with where your life is now. Yeah. But would there be things that you'd change, or you'd say, I'd do this a bit differently?
I would just be in control of my finances a bit better.
Yeah.
Like the first 5 years of Geordie Shore, everything I made, I was spending.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't until I made it. I always go back, but it wasn't until I settled down that I was just like, obviously, this money's not going to last forever, so you need to start being a bit smarter. So that's when I put a lot of money into my house and stuff. But yeah, be a bit more smarter, maybe a bit more business minded. But at the same time, I'm not in a bad position, so it could be a hell of a lot worse. But if I could have a little word with myself, it would have been to just, instead of getting them 2 cars, and maybe just pull a little bit back, maybe put a bit more in the savings.
Yeah.
But nah, like I say, I could be in a worse position, but I could also be in a better position financially.
I speak to people that are, you know, former athletes, professional sportsmen, entertainers. It's often a very similar story.
Yeah.
It seems to be the people that don't end up with that issue are probably people who've taught more my path, where they made their money through like building a business. And it's like to build that business, it's much slower. You don't go from, you know, it takes years before you're earning anything
so
decent.
You don't go from like $2,000 a month to 20 grand a month.
It just
you know
doesn't
what I mean?
happen.
Yeah.
Very rarely.
That's what happened to me. So
it's
just,
so quick.
You just think, well, it's coming in, but obviously the more comes in, that your lifestyle changes. Do you know what I mean? You start buying them more expensive clothing, you start buying like watches and stuff. So yeah, that would be it. But I don't regret anything that I've done, thankfully, because I'm in quite a good position now. But I don't regret anything, so I'm happy.
Awesome, that's great. Just one thing I thought of that I wanted to ask about is I'm a father myself. I've got a son. You have 3 sons.
3, yeah.
Similar ages. We mentioned around social media and people growing up with that. Have you given that any thought yet? I mean, it's gonna be a little while before your sons are on social media, but are you thinking I don't want them anywhere near it?
So I don't really show my sons on social media.
Yeah.
I was, but then I just think now I'll maybe post the odd story.
Yeah.
Like I don't really have, because I was finding I was posting pictures of me kids, and then even like I never used to look at the comments, but you would go on like your notifications and there would be people arguing on me, pictures of me children.
Yeah.
There'd be people saying disgusting stuff, and I just thought, nah, this is not for me. Like, why am I going to put me kids in a position? Not even me kids, but they're targeting me children. Like seeing some of the. This is one of the reasons when my first son was born. There was a fake account and they wouldn't leave up, and they were messaging us saying, "I would love to kill your son. I would love to stamp on his head."
Wow.
And I was just like, "Whoa, this is getting."
Yeah.
So I just thought, why am I going to put them in that position? I mean, there's some disgusting people in this world.
Yeah.
And whoever was sending them, I would like to see what life they have, because what they were saying was absolutely disgusting about a newborn baby. Obviously, I know people want you to bite and people want you to react. So I just thought, just take them out of the equation. Then there's none of that. You know what I mean? So I do the odd story of me and the boys, but nothing. I don't just pump me Instagram full of. I use it as work.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, work in private life is, for me, is 2 different things.
Because you see some people in the influencer space, they almost seem like they kind of take advantage of their kids and they're using them all the time.
People use them for likes and followers.
Yeah.
See, I'm the opposite for that. Like, I'm the opposite. I don't like that. Like, I feel like there should be a level of privacy, like for your children, because unfortunately, the world we live in, other parents and schools can be like, oh, that's such and such's son.
Yeah.
And they can easily be targeted to be bullied. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So
I'm trying to keep mine to have a life where, look, this is normal life. That's daddy's work life. Do you know what I mean? Try and have a balance. But they're only young, so we have to see how it plays out. But for now, like, when it comes to it, maybe have a conversation, but they'll not be on social media at a young age. No way.
Yeah.
No way.
Things may well have changed by the time they're older as well. There might be more.
Hopefully social media will have pissed off.
or at least they've got better things in place to catch people that are sending these messages and things like that, so people don't do it.
I would love social media. You have to have your driving license or your passport, and that's it. You can't make fake accounts. If it's a business, you have to literally give them all your business details, because that's the only way to stop them.
I completely agree with that, and it would stop so much of the abuse almost overnight.
These people wouldn't send the abuse if it was under their name.
Absolutely not.
The bags, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely not. And then they know that, you know, police could investigate them and find out who they are immediately, give them a call, it would just stop.
But it's, for me, for someone to make a fake account shows they're a bit weird anyway.
Yeah.
If you want to make a fake account to send someone abuse, I feel like there's something not right with you in the first place. But I just think hopefully in years to come, social media would have changed and maybe introduced the kids at a later date. But now they don't need to be on there. They're only 1, 2 and 3.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, not for a long time. Maybe never. We'll see.
Maybe 10 years. Then there'll be 10, 11, 12, 13.
Yeah. And you'll be going, not yet. You're still too young. They'll be like, no, all my friends are on it. I got to be on there.
The 13-year-old can go on first, then the next year,
Yeah. Well, Aaron, I really appreciate you coming to speak with me. Really appreciate you taking the time. Where would you like to send people if they want to, follow you, find out more? What should they take a look at?
Yeah, so Aaron CG Show on Instagram. That's where I'm always on. And if you want to go on my raffle company, Thai Life Competitions. And we should be having some big competitions. And when we get a new website, we'll Someone can win me Defender if they want it.
Awesome. That sounds really, really fun. I'll keep an eye out for that.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Thanks for having
Thanks
me.
a lot, Aaron.
Thank you.
So what did you think about my conversation with Aaron? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed that, you can watch another one of my podcast episodes here. And before you go, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss another one of my episodes.